All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is document D, I believe. Um, we are covering document D and we're answering that question: why did Christianity take hold in the ancient world? So this has four questions on it. Starting at the top, at the source, which is part of the document. Source says Helmut Koester, as quoted in the PBS documentary From Jesus to Christ, 2009. Definitely, again, we know this is not a primary source. Read along with me. We ask again, why was the Christian community something that people wanted to join? Rome was a very strict, hierarchical society or system in which the emperor is at the pinnacle all the way up, and then all the blessings in the world that come to people come down from above. The emperor is the conduit, connecting part to the divine world. And if you're at the bottom of the social pyramid, not a whole lot of things are coming down to you anymore. Now, the Christian community, as we have it, particularly in the letters of Paul, says, "In Christ there is neither Jew nor Greek, neither male nor female, neither slave nor free." Here is a community that invites you, which makes you an equal with all other members of that community, which does not give you any disadvantage. On the contrary, it gives even the lowliest slave personal dignity and status. Moreover, the care for each other becomes very important. If they are hungry, they know where to go. If they are sick, there is an elder who will lay hands to them to heal them. Okay, so the document is pretty straightforward, and I've been kind of hammering this throughout the entire set of documents that we've had since the background document. That this idea again, I mean, this document brings that to full fledged brightness that there is a difference between being a Christian and being somebody else. And the fact is, if you're a Christian, you're felt as if you're equal no matter who you are, rich or poor, Jew or Greek, didn't matter, male or female, didn't matter. You were all the same in the eyes of God. And that equality, again, is a strong message in a world in which there is no equality. This idea that people are the same, equality, is completely foreign to the world in every respect prior to this and beyond. I mean, you can debate the smaller the time period between this what we're reading about and today about what the church was like and whether they preached equality, whether they lived equality. You can discuss that and debate it and argue and have good points on either side. But one thing that you cannot deny is to this point, equality is a foreign concept to humanity. Equality does not exist. It doesn't matter. I mean, very rarely would you see it in the ancient world. And the idea, because everyone was led by, remember, when we look at the initial, how human beings came together, it was the clan structure, the clan being a group of a family that had like the paterfamilias at the top. And the clan would make a decision, and clans would join together, and they would become bigger groups. And these groups would turn into communities, and these communities would center around different things. That's all. That all requires strong leadership at the top. So very much at the very beginning, there was a lot of equality because they were all part of the same family. And then when they started to join with other families, that equality evaporates. And they need to have a strong leader at the top, someone who can be their war leader, someone who can defend them, someone who can lead them in battle, someone who can lead them in production of food, someone who can lead them in production of life and the goods that they need to survive. Making a house, finding a place to live, following the animals in the nomadic time period. This is equality is gone in that respect. And that's important to grasp. That's an important thing to grasp because the idea that equality is not there before and is being taught again. Going back to the stories, what did the Romans teach? What did the Greeks teach? What did the Christians teach? The Christians taught equality. The Roman world taught it's a very hierarchical society. We know that there's the patricians and the plebes, and the plebes in themselves. There's the top plebes, the rich plebes, and then there's the poor know nothing plebes, and then of course there's the slaves at the bottom. There's a reason why the people who died the most in the ancient world, and when you look at the children, were the poor children. Those are the ones who were the ones working in the more riskier jobs. Again, cleaning the sponge on the stick, and then having their meal with the bacteria still over their hands, climbing on the roofs, falling off the roof, lifting up, you know, slate and stuff to put on the roofs, cleaning the chimneys. Chimneys were a lot of chimneys in ancient Rome because that's the only way you kept warm. That's the only way you cooked your food. So you didn't have a stove like you have in your house today. You had a place, an open fire pit with a grill on top of it usually to cook your food, if that. So there's a big different, there's a lot to that mindset of, the kids were the ones that were the poor kids were the ones who were dying. 60, because that that number that I gave you, 50% of the kids were dead before the age of 10. That's an average. Really, if you were rich, if you were part of the patrician class, it was probably 1 in 10 that was dead, maybe two because of childbirth or sickly behavior. But it might have been 8 out of 10 of the poor kids who were dead by the time they were 10. That's something that you got to imagine. I mean, it's the average. 5 out of 10 is the average. And of course, that's no different. I mean, that's no different in society throughout history. The poor people are generally the ones who suffer the most because they don't have the luxury of being um, insulated from the bad times. Bad times hurt them the most. So let's talk about this document a little bit more. Let's dive into it just a little bit deeper because I think we might have missed a piece when we're looking at this. The emperor is the conduit, and I'm looking. I don't know if you can see my mouse, but it's the first paragraph. The emperor is the conduit conduit linking, connecting path to the divine world. It's in the first paragraph, and now we're on the last sentence. And if you're at the bottom of the social pyramid, not a whole lot of things are coming down to you anymore. So that religiously speaking, you're looking. The ancient Romans were looking at the gods and saying, "Please help me, Dionysus or whoever. Help me with this. Help me with that. Mars, help me with this. Help me with that." And it was always that the emperor was the conduit. So of course the emperor is getting the best of that, and the rest of it filters down to the rest of the people. And in that model, the people at the bottom are getting nothing. And again, Jesus comes along. He turns that story upside down. He's saying, no, the emperor is not the conduit. You're the conduit. You're all the same. You have your own direct connection to God. There's no reason for you to have to kowtow to the emperor and give in to his, expect him to be your salvation because that's supposed to be God that's your salvation. That's the message that's being said here. I mean, this is the connection. Your connection to the divine world isn't dependent on some emperor who runs around with a sword and some, purple robes and makes himself look great. No, that's not your connection to divinity, to the gods. That's not your connection. Your connection is you. That's where you're going to find your connection to God. That's where you're going to find your connection between you. And because it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't make you more special because you're the emperor. And to think that an emperor actually came along and said, "Hey, you're right. Let's make Christianity the religion of Rome." Which that was Constantine in about 300 A.D. or CE, depending on the way you look at the calendar. So we're at 10 minutes. That's the end of document D. You should be able to answer those other 3 questions that are available. If you can't, feel free to reach out to me. I'll answer them, help you out as best I can. I'm not going to give you the answer. I'm going to require that you think your way through the answer. Take care, and I will talk to you soon.